Now, I occasionally get asked, what do you recommend as a starting point for listening to Tangerine Dream? So if you're brand new to Tangerine Dream, that's a very open-ended question to answer. That's 50 years of Tangerine Dream and many styles and varieties of electronic music within that. So I'm going to attempt to answer that for you and explore. Now, the very early Tangerine Dream is very experimental, Green Desert, Atom, electronic meditation. They don't really do much for me, so I haven't purchased their albums. I think I used to have them perhaps on tape way back in the 80s, but they didn't scratch my itch. They didn't make me want to think, I want to listen to that again. So I haven't got those to show you. But if you like the classic Tangerine Dream sound of the 70s, then the albums you need to look out for are Phaedra, Stratosphere. If you can hear pops going off, it's Bonfire Night Weekend. Tangram. Cyclone. Force Majeure. And Rubicon. Now, Rubicon was actually the first Tangerine Dream album I heard, and I was kind of disappointed because it didn't sound as electronic as other electronic artists that I liked. I got into electronic music by liking Vangelis, and then my favourite artist of all is Jean-Michel Jarre. And Rubicon sounds sort of more organic soundscapes which then bubble into beautiful sequencer-driven pieces. But obviously I really love it now. So of those classic era albums, Rubicon, Force Majeure, Stratosphere, Phaedra are my favourites. Like there is no music out there that is like those. With Tangerine Dream, every early album came out was practically something brand new, something you'd not heard before. Most artists, you can listen to one of their albums, say, and I mean this in a very positive way, say for Jean-Michel Jarre, Oxygen, or Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells, and in that album you will hear everything that that artist has since done, is represented, and that's not a bad thing. So Jarre, Mike Oldfield, Tangerine Dream are my big three favourites, but Tangerine Dream have something new in a lot of their albums that out-define them. You can't pick one of their albums and say, well, this really represents them. Tangram from that era is 2-track, Tangram Part 1. It's beautiful, absolutely stunning piece of music. Variety of sequencer-driven parts, melodies, piano. Never got into Tangram Set 2. Doesn't scratch anything for me. And Cyclone, again, hasn't really scratched my itch, but I bought it to sort of fill in some of the back catalogue. Now, into the 80s. I'm staying with the studio albums for the moment because the live albums are something else. And this isn't a comprehensive collection, by the way. This is probably some of the key CDs, recordings of Tangerine Dreams, because they've got over 100 albums and I haven't got that. Into the 80s, you have albums like White Eagle, Hyperbora, Le Parc, and Exit, which Tangram also is in 1980. Now, if you like sort of more melodic synthesizer music, all of those will be more up your street. Less reliance on ambiances and fluidic soundscapes and evolving sequencer rhythms. Film soundtracks. Now, Tangerine Dream have done bucket loads of film soundtracks. For me, there are two that stand out in their film soundtrack history. One is Sorcerer, which I have never actually seen, but apparently a sorcerer doesn't even feature in the film, and not even much of their music does either. But it is a stunning work of sort of grungy, grungy is kind of what I would use to describe it. But it stays with you. It's atmospheric. Far more melodic and representative of their 80s catalogue is Firestarter, a young, very young Drew Barrymore there in the adaptation of Stephen King's work. Beautiful, beautiful album. Really, very nice. Their live albums are something else. The second two albums, if that makes sense, the second and third albums of Tangerine Dreams that I got were Poland and Ricochet. These two are absolute masterpieces. I can lose myself in these. The Poland one, there is a 3-track version out on the market. Make sure you go for the 4-track because you're being cheated of about 20 minutes of absolutely amazing electronic music. You can't really beat those. If you want something that just takes you somewhere else completely, Ricochet and Poland are there. Ricochet Part 2 was where I went to when I heard Edgar Furzer had died. I sat there immersed in the music and sort of tears in my eyes and on my cheeks, thinking, oh my, this is sad news. Other live albums I like. Logos. This is one main long track, about 45-50 minutes, and then a single track, Dominion. The long track is amazing. It evolves, develops, goes from movement to movement. Keep it on and keep it going, and it just takes you through a whole journey. Yeah, and Dominion, it's only 5 minutes long, but again, it's a very good, catchy synth tune. Stepping back into the 70s, you got Encore on the North American tour, and again, it's very much like the typical albums of the 70s I started out with. Indeed, some of Stratosphere makes it onto here, but there are atmospheres and ambiences on this which just no music of anyone else ever touches. It is completely unique. There are a number of compilation albums out there at Tangerine Dream. One that I had on tape in the 80s was one called Dream Sequence, which is a really good starting point. Many happy memories of putting that on my Walkman, going out early morning walks around the countryside where I grew up in rural Dorset. Two I've got here. One is just called The Best of Tangerine Dream, and has stuff from very early Tangerine Dream catalogue, Varn, Astral Voyager, as well as to their mid-late 80s, from The Park, from Poland. It's worth getting if you just want a taster. And this one is just called Tangerine Dream. And again, it's got a lot of their 80s, some of their early 70s, and even very probably late 60s as well. I'm not so sure on those ones. Anyway, worth getting if you come across them. If you want just a sample. Of course, these days we have platforms like Spotify and all the unauthorized illegal stuff, which doesn't really benefit the artist. Now, heading to the late 80s, their sound develops even more. Now, I'm trying not to drop my CDs here. Beautiful album, which kept me company around Germany when I had it on tape. I went on a school exchange, and for 2 weeks I had Underwater Sunlight on my tape, on my Walkman. And this is a piano-based, guitar-based, not typically sort of electronic sounding, but beautiful. If you like perhaps a more easy listening approach to electronic music, this is like a good starter point from there. Following on from Underwater Sunlight was Tiger. This one, Tiger. There's a particular sound that starts being introduced into Tangerine Dream's music, and I think it's probably due to the instrumentation that was implemented from Tiger onwards and into the 90s and 2000s. A much more sort of cleaner, perhaps sort of typically digital sound, where I know digital can now do a very good analog improvisation. Not improvisation. I know that digital can now do a very good analog impersonation. And Tiger has singing on it. When I put this on, and I thought, my God, they got singing on a Tangerine Dream album. It actually does work. It's poems of William Blake set to music. So if you like poetry, this really is your thing. Little fly by summer's play, my thoughtless hand has brushed away. Am not I a fly like thee? Or art not thou a man like me? For I dance and laugh and drink and sing, till some blind hand shall brush my wing. If thought is life, and strength and breath, then the want of thought is death. Then am I a happy fly, if I live or if I die. There you go. If it wasn't for Tangerine Dream, I wouldn't be able to recite William Blake. So it's a good one. And if you get the extended edition, there is 2 parts for the 21st Century Common Man. The tape version that I had back in the 80s only had 4 tracks. The CD has a bonus 5th track with 2 parts. So keep an eye out for that one. Following on from that, we had Optical Race. Really like that one. Again, that kept me company on my personal stereo all around a week at Butlins when I felt quite alone as part of a group. But Tangerine Dream kept me company, and so you didn't want to carry many tapes around with you, so you tended to carry sort of 1 or 2 favourites around with you. Optical Race accompanied me with that, so that's a good one. Following on from then was Melrose. Now this is my, until like last year, it was my last Tangerine Dream purchase. Again, really nice tracks on it. 3 Bikes in the Sky, Dolls in the Shadow, Cool at Heart, really nice. And then we have a 25-year gap where I mentioned, I think, that I stopped with Raccoon. It just failed to scratch me. If it doesn't have that almost instant, I want to hear that again response in me, sorry, I'm not going to spend my money and my time on it. Last year I bought Tango, which is kind of a summary of the best of about 20 years of Tangerine Dream's intervening catalogue from Melrose, and I think maybe Optical Race. I can't remember if there's an Optical Race track in there. Certainly if there's a track from Melrose in there. And probably half of the tracks in there I really do not care about. It does indeed sort of validate my feeling that I've not bothered with Tangerine Dream for 25 years. However, having given it a determined try, played it in the car a few times in late August, September with the advent of Quantum Gate. Yeah, there are some in there now that I really, really do like. Pixel Pirates, just looking in the back here. I'm not very good with names these days because most of the time I'm having to shove it on in the car and listen it in the car, and we haven't got one that displays the track names, so I tend to go by track numbers or have to skip through and think, oh right, this is the one I like. And of course, bringing it right up to scratch, we have Quantum Gate, which I feel is a return to form. It leaps back to some of the sound and feel of some of the 80s Tangerine Dream. Some of it has form similar to 70s Tangerine Dream, but the production values and feel of something made in like the 2010s. So there you go, that's my introduction to Tangerine Dream. Maybe a bit verbose, a bit long, but how do you sum up 50 years of music briefly? I haven't got Live Miles in there, which is one of a favourite live album for many folk. It doesn't do it for me. I used to have all sorts on vinyl and tape, but I did really daft clear out late 80s, early 90s, and sort of tried to get rid of a load of stuff, and ditched too much. I cringe. But I hope that gives you an idea of where you might start for Tangerine Dream. Yeah, it's really hard to pick one album that typifies their sound, and for that they are unspeakably original. So have fun exploring the universe of sound of Tangerine Dream, because it's amazing. Okay, ta for now. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. I've been meaning to do this probably for several years, and at last I got around to it. So thanks for watching.